Badass of the Week is produced by High Five Content and 7 Bucks Productions. September 1326. The English Channel. A massive swell of the North Sea slams against the hull of the wooden ship, sending a spray of salt-crusted ice over the deck and over the woman standing at the prow. Isabella of France isn't wearing the velvet robes of a queen or the silk of a diplomat anymore. She is clad in an armored hauberk of steel chainmail, the metal cold against her skin. She was born for this. The daughter of Philip the Fair, the Iron King of France, she was the ultimate political weapon, a savvy operative betrothed to the son of the Hammer of the Scots to forge a military alliance that would crush all of Europe. But when she arrived in England, she didn't find a partner. She found incompetence and disrespect. Her husband, King Edward II, ignored her, treated her like a decorative nuisance, and allowed his favorites to strip her of her retainers, her wealth, and eventually her own son. They thought they could discard her like a piece of furniture. They were wrong. The rhythm of the oars matches the beating of her heart. Behind her, a fleet of Dutch warships cuts through the dark swell, each ship packed to the rafters with mercenaries who have already been paid in gold and promised blood. Isabella isn't coming home to apologize or negotiate. She is coming home to burn the corruption out of her palace and take back everything that was stolen from her. The world is about to find out that when you back a queen into a corner, you don't get a victim. You get a predator. Her vengeance will be so bloody and so ruthless that history will forever remember her by a single terrifying nickname: the She-Wolf of France. Hello, and welcome back to Badass of the Week, the show where we tell the badass history of badasses. My name is Ben Thompson, and today we are heading back to the 14th century to talk about a woman who basically invented the glow-up. If your version of the glow-up involves raising a mercenary army, overthrowing the King of England, and then possibly stabbing him with a red-hot poker. So, to help me tell the story today, please welcome, as always, my co-host, Dr. Pat Larish. Pat, welcome back. Thanks for coming on. I'm excited about this one.
So Ben, it's good to be here. Thanks for having me. And I got to be honest, when I saw She-Wolf on your list for this week, I thought, well, we are actually recording this on April Fool's Day. So I thought, well, what's going on here? Is this a cryptozoology episode? Are we doing a deep dive into 2000s Shakira hits?
Sort of. That would be kind of a deep dive into Shakira, but it's it's a little more Werewolves of London than Hips Don't Lie. So we are going to be talking about Isabella, the She-Wolf of France. And I remember, like you said, I sent you a big list of people that we could talk about, and you were going through it, and you're like, She-Wolf of France. I've got to know more more about this.
Yeah.
And so we got into it. Although I guess we should start by saying that that she wasn't actually known as the She-Wolf in her own lifetime. That was added later.
She wasn't? Oh.
I know. It's such a good nickname. I love it. It was not meant to be flattering when it was described to her. So to her people in the 1300s, in 1300s England, which is where this story takes place, she's Isabella the Fair. And the She-Wolf gets added later on. There was a poet named Thomas Gray, and then Shakespeare picks it up, and they call her the She-Wolf. And it was meant to be an insult, but it's so badass that we keep it now.
So, hey, it clearly works. It attracted my attention. And
yes.
I guess this is one of those cases where later eras did a rebrand on her.
Sort of, yeah. I think Isabella the Fair, it wouldn't be as compelling
yeah.
if you saw it on a list of potential badasses for the website. Yeah, she's you'll see that She-Wolf is a little more apropos of a nickname for her, and one of the better, I feel like it's one of the better medieval epithets.
So She-Wolf is maybe more her vibe, and fair is maybe they called her that, but she's not like, a delicate damsel in distress who sits around waiting to be rescued by a knight in shining armor.
No, it's definitely not that kind of situation. She is, and we'll get into it in a minute, but she's Isabella the Fair, but her daughter was Philip the Fair, who sounds nice, right? It sounds like, oh, he was fair, he was cool. They mean fair as in like he was like handsome. That's how they refer to him. He was a handsome guy, but he's also known as the Iron King of France. He was cold-blooded that his own bishops referred to him as, quote, a statue. Isabella is raised in a court that is very intense, and we're going to get into it in a little bit. She's not a typical medieval princess, and so she gets a very atypical medieval nickname.
So where do we start?
We are going to start the story in the year 1307 in England with a 6'2" giant, towering, badass knight known as Edward Longshanks, who comes up occasionally on this show and is one of the more badass of the English kings in history. The story starts with him, and it's going to go a lot of wild directions that you might not anticipate. We're going to take a really quick break, and when we come back, we'll get into the story of how Isabella the Fair became Isabella the She-Wolf of France. Stick with us. All right, welcome back to Badass of the Week. I am here with Dr. Pat Larish, and our story begins in 1307, in the middle of the war between England and Scotland. We are during the reign of Edward I, Edward Longshanks. You might remember him as the bad guy from the William Wallace episode and Braveheart the movie. You know that this guy is a serious dude. He is the kind of basis for Tywin Lannister from Game of Thrones, draws a lot of stuff from Edward I. He's known as the Hammer of the Scots because he was very serious about destroying Scotland.
And Scotland is not easy to destroy.
No, it's not. He did some interesting things with it. When Scotland rebelled against him, he marched an army there. He defeated them. He stole the rock that was like the ancient rock that all Scottish kings sat on. He took it and he put it underneath his throne in London, and it's still there today. He did stuff like that. He battled the Welsh, he battled the French, he battled the Scots, he battled anybody that would fight him. He was 6'2", which was just a giant at the time.
Yeah.
And just
still kind of tall today, honestly.
Right. Sure. But it was like, it was probably like 6'9" then or 6'11" or something, right? And so he is this giant, heavily armored, very serious, like traditional badass knight. And he is in Scotland in 1307. William Wallace has raised his revolution. Longshanks has crushed Wallace, has captured him, executed Wallace. Robert the Bruce has taken over, and Longshanks is arriving at the border. He's defeated Robert the Bruce, driven him back into Scotland, and is about to march this huge army into Scotland to destroy Robert the Bruce once and for all and end the war. However, he gets sick. He's an older guy at this point. He's in like his late 60s, I think. He gets sick and he lies dying in a town called Berg by Sands, which is like within visual distance of the Scottish border. And so as he's laying there, he's like, I'm not going to make it. He gives one final unhinged command. His son is there watching him. His son's the prince. He's going to inherit and become the king. And Edward is like, I'm about to die, but the Scots fear me. I'm the Hammer of the Scots. When I die, boil me, boil the flesh from my bones, wrap me in a bull's hide, and have my skeleton carried at the head of the English army so I can be a literal ghost story that the Scots can never escape.
Wow. That's giving. It's like if you take, actually, I'm thinking of two different badass episodes. There's the episode where Medea tricks two princesses, into getting their king father to go into a cauldron of boiling water.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you've got that. And then also, honestly, El Cid.
Yeah.
The whole Weekend at Bernie's thing.
It worked with El Cid. He drove the Almoravids away, right? Beyond death, beyond the grave. And there's a chance it would have worked. It maybe not. I mean, the psychological impact of the dead king's bones. I picture it wearing like the armor and the crown and everything being carried at the head of the army. Not only that, but he had also managed to like assemble and form up a humongous army on the border of Scotland. So he was definitely equipped to invade Scotland. Now, okay, Edward dies and the crown passes to his son, 23-year-old Edward II. Now, Edward II looks a lot like his dad. He's tall, he's athletic, he's handsome. He's kind of built, he looks like a knight, like you would picture a knight if you were thinking about one from a movie. But mentally, he's sitting there, he watches his dad die. He's looking at like the fog of Scotland, and he's kind of mentally already packed for a weekend in Ibiza. He's he's not interested in the mud and the blood and the cold Scottish rain. He's like, yeah, I'm good. I'm not going to boil your bones. That sounds unnecessarily messed up. I'm not going to finish this campaign. I don't care about invading Scotland. I'm going to go back to London and plan my coronation party.
Okay.
Yes. So, that's it. That's Edward II. He is not a warrior king. He is definitely more of a party dude. He doesn't want to be the hammer of anything. He wants to have big parties at his castle. He likes rowing. He likes hedging, like working on his hedges. He likes throwing big dances. He liked digging ditches. That's a weird thing that comes up with Edward II a lot. He enjoyed digging ditches.
I don't know. It's a good workout,
I guess. Yeah.
I mean,
and, he kind of liked hanging out with the commoners and just having parties at his house in his palace grounds.
It actually sounds kind of fun.
It sounds kind of fun. He was probably a fun guy to hang out with, honestly.
Yeah. Like, hey, buddy. Hey, Edward, I'm digging a ditch. Want to come join me? Sure. I'll bring some champagne.
Yeah, exactly. That was kind of the vibe here. It wasn't necessarily great for the country, though, because in order to fund all this, he's kind of, taking the treasury and spending it on, massive parties and estates and things like that. He's buying the champagne with like taxpayer money and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Whatever. It's fine. So he goes back to London. He doesn't destroy the Scots, and he starts hanging out with his best friend. His favorite is a knight from the French region of Gascon called Piers Gaveston. And Gaveston had been exiled by Edward Longshanks, and when Edward II takes over, he brings him back. And now they're like, and he gives this guy a bunch of like titles and lands and like jewels from the royal family. And he's having these huge parties, and these guys are kind of just like living it up. Now, Edward II is around this time, he's 23, and he's about to be married to a 12-year-old girl. Now, that sounds messed up when you say it, but that's just how the world works.
This is medieval royalty. This is, yeah.
Yes. Now, his future bride is Isabella the Fair. We'll call her for now. Isabella of France is the daughter of Philip the Fair, who, despite his handsomeness and his innocuous sounding name, is a cold-blooded killer.
Well, he's the Iron King, after all.
Yeah, he's the Iron King, which sounds like a Game of Thrones thing. In 1307, when Edward Longshanks is dying and saying, "Boil my bones," Philip the Fair is in France. This is when he does the thing he's most famous for, which is execute all of the Knights Templar. So,
whoa, what brought that on?
He owed them money. The official story goes, there's a lot of conspiracy theories around this, but the official story is he owed them a lot of money. And so then in order to erase his debts, he had every member in France arrested on Friday the 13th, tortured into fake confessions of heresy, and then burned at the stake. And then he seized all their gold. Wow. This is Philip the Fair. This is Isabella's dad. This is the court that she is raised in. If any sacred institution stands in your way, you don't negotiate with it. You destroy it utterly using all means at your disposal.
Okay, so we couldn't have two different people in an arranged marriage.
It's an odd couple.
Yeah. So their marriage was not born of romance. If you were hoping for that, no, I get the sense that doesn't really happen.
Well, I mean, courtly love,
And
right? Isn't that a chivalrous thing or no?
yeah, yeah.
More of a
This is-
guideline.
Yeah, this is utterly political. And you had these two kings, you had to try to stop them from tearing Europe apart. So Edward I, Longshanks, and Philip the Fair, they absolutely hated one another. And they were just like staring at each other across the English Channel. They were locked. They had been locked in this brutal, decade-long real estate war over Gascony. This was, massive, wealthy territory in France. And somehow the English king owned Gascony, but technically the French king ruled this. This is something going way...
This is the thing. This dates back to, we talked about this a little bit in the Saladin episode when we were talking about Richard the Lionheart. And then I did an episode on Eleanor of Aquitaine. So the idea was, through some weird thing, Richard the Lionheart became king of England. Eleanor of Aquitaine engineered her son Richard to become king of England. And you get this part where Aquitaine, at this point it's called Gascony. It is basically a French state in like the southwest of France that is ruled by the English king. But because it's part of France, the English king is supposed to acknowledge that the French king is the king of this region. I am the king of England, you're the king of France, but also I am the Duke of Gascony, which is part of France. So I have to pledge, I have to kneel to you every once in a while or say thanks or give you some money or whatever. And when you've got Richard, when you've got Philip the Fair on one side and Edward Longshanks on the other, Longshanks is not a kneel to the kiss the ring kind of guy. They argue Edward doesn't want to be subservient to anybody. Philip wants what he's owed. They're raiding each other. They're burning things down. We've got a problem.
Yes. And by 1299, both sides had hemorrhaged out so much money. They're looking for an exit strategy that also saves face. They didn't want anything to look like a surrender. So this results in the Treaty of Montreuil.
Right. The Treaty of Montreuil is an agreement to kind of prevent the 100 Years' War from happening.
Yes.
Let's unite our dynasties so that we don't, France and England aren't at war for the next 100 years.
Yes, absolutely. What a great plan.
It almost worked.
Almost, yeah. Maybe in some alternate universe. The deal was simple. The two royal houses would merge. I guess if you can't beat them, marry them. Mm-hmm. So Isabella was basically, she was really fancy collateral. So she is part of this marriage, and you could think of her as a bit of a Trojan horse. So she's a 12-year-old girl meant to be planted in the heart of England to make sure that French interests were protected while her husband, Edward II, tried to manage the terrifying legacy of his father. And she arrives with a huge train of courtier supplies, gear, and all the tools needed for power.
Right. She is a political operative, right? If you ever play the medieval Total War games, the princesses are political operatives that are on the level of spies and things. So she goes there and we're going to unite the houses of Longshanks and Philip the Fair. We're going to create this world-crushing alliance. And Isabella's job is to sit at the court, be the Queen of England, and make sure England doesn't mess with France. And she arrives in 1308 with, like you said, this huge entourage of loyal retainers. And she's she's grown up in the court of Philip the Fair. She's going to go marry the son of Longshanks. This is going to be a dominant military force. This is going to be a world-crushing alliance. So, okay, she shows up. And Edward II is not interested in world-crushing alliances. He's not interested in any of this stuff. They have their coronation. They have their wedding. He ignores her basically the entire time. Any wedding gifts that were meant for her, he gives them to Gaveston, and then I think takes some of her jewelry that she brought with her and gives it to him as well.
That's not cool.
It's not cool. No, you really can't. You really can't treat. I know it's a political marriage. I know it's not it's not based on courtly love,
but they're her jewels. Come on.
People are watching, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so now she's uh-oh. I watched my father destroy the most feared knights in Christendom before breakfast, and now I'm stuck with a frat president in a crown who is looting the treasury of England. She finds herself a displaced, unwanted queen in a court that views her as a decorative nuisance.
A decorative nuisance. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to put that in quotes.
Yes.
Quote unquote decorative nuisance.
Decorative nuisance is how this story begins. She is politically savvy. She is intelligent, and she finds herself being the smartest, like the politically most savvy person in a room full of people who are not. And she watches as her husband's inattention to details and to the intricacies of rule and of running the kingdom start to destroy everything that Edward Longshanks had built up. Now, Isabella can see right away, Edward II, he's not just a bad husband. He looks like prey in her eyes. And her job, as she sees it right away, is to keep the predators off of him.
Oh, I thought you meant she was going to prey on Edward. But
no,
right now she's
protecting. He's got enemies, right? He's the king of England, and he's replacing Longshanks. And Longshanks was a very stern man. He was a very serious king, and he made enemies, right? He did not make friends of everybody. He ran his kingdom with an iron fist. And now his son comes in. His son is relaxing on everything, and all of those English barons, some of them are like, this is my chance to seize power. This is my chance to carve something out. This is my chance to get something back that was taken from me by Longshanks. Others that like were raised up by Longshanks are like, I don't have time for like vibes-based leadership. Like, I need you to like be the hammer of something, because that's that's how this works. The hardliners and the people who were a little bit less hardline, everybody is kind of seeing a weak king and ready to pounce on it and ready to seize him. At some point, the Piers Gaveston is exiled. Edward's cousin, Thomas of Lancaster, and the Earl of Warwick, they are able to get Piers Gaveston exiled back to Gascony. Now, Edward is mad about this. He brings Gaveston back. So Thomas of Lancaster and the Earl of Warwick kidnap him, Gaveston, and execute him. They have him hanged on a hillside like a common criminal. And that was meant to send a message to Edward II, like, it's time to get serious, right? It's time to stop partying. We gotta Scotland, we've got France, we've got to do something, right? So, okay, Edward II does not respond to this the way they were hoping. He gets enraged and it swears revenge on everybody. Thomas of Lancaster is his cousin, and he's ready to kill him. This is where Isabella does a thing that she's actually very good at. She's the she-wolf of France, and she doesn't get enough credit for her ability to like act diplomatically. She steps in and smooths things over with Thomas and the Earl of Warwick. Hey, this is okay. Like, we're gonna figure this out. No problem. She's trying to like make peace here, and she's able to kind of diffuse what was about to be an armed rebellion. Okay.
Good for her.
Yeah, that goes okay. At some point during this, she has a son, the future Edward III. The Braveheart movie suggests that Mel Gibson might have been the father, but that seems unlikely when you look at the historical documentation, because Wallace was dead for a long time when this happened, had been dead for a while when this happened.
Mel Gibson hadn't been born yet, yes. Mm-hmm. Okay, but I understand why the thought might have occurred to people. Even if there's no documentation, people are like, really? Edward? That guy?
Right.
Come on.
Edward II. Edward III, we will talk about him at some point. We're going to get to him a little bit in this episode, but we'll probably do a whole episode on him at some point. Edward III is the guy who won like at Agincourt. He's more like his grandpa than he is like his dad. And Edward III is definitely in the Longshanks kind of vibe. And so,
sometimes these things skip a generation. I
guess being the hammer of something skips a generation.
Yeah. You hammer and then wolf and then a hammer. We're good.
Right. I guess, yeah, you're right. It didn't skip a generation.
Well, I guess he gets some of it from his mom's side as well as
for sure.
His dad's or his grandfather's
he's
side.
the culmination of the Iron Duke and Longshanks, or the Iron King and Longshanks.
There you go.
Okay. So she acts as mediator. She waits for her husband to grow up and realize this isn't a game. You've got to start taking ruling seriously. He doesn't do that. Instead, he finds a new favorite courtier. He finds a guy who is not a flashy peacock like Gaveston was. He finds a shark. He finds a guy named Hugh Despenser the Younger. Now, if Gaveston and some of his other favorites were social climber, Instagram kind of guys, the Despensers, Hugh Jr. and Hugh Sr., they are like mafiosa. They don't want like to just be friends with the king and go to a party. They want to loot the kingdom's wallet. They want to kill everyone that they've had grudges on forever. Picture like the Sopranos in like 1300. Ooh. That's these guys. They were wealthy merchants. Yeah. The dad's a wealthy merchant. The son's up and coming. And when Hugh Despenser the Younger gets in close with Edward II, he's much more dangerous. This is not just, hey, wouldn't it be cool if like we went out on a boat and threw a big party? This is, hey, let's loot. Let's attack all of the nobles that disagree with us. Let's manufacture false charges against anyone with a nice estate. Let's loot the English nobility through judicial murder, land grabs. Let's accuse people of treason and have them executed because we don't like them. They capture and execute Thomas of Lancaster, who, remember, is the king's cousin. Of course,
yeah.
Yeah, they have him and anybody responsible for the Gaveston thing. All those people are killed or deprived of their lands through false legal charges. Any nobles who supported that, they're gone. And that makes Edward happy. And then in return, the Despensers also destroy anybody who had ever had a beef with them. So this is the Sopranos with a royal seal.
And this conflict, yeah, it was political, but then it becomes, honestly, visceral when Hugh Despenser Jr. realizes that the Queen, Isabella, is really the only person with the rank and the intelligence to challenge him. Maybe if things were different, he would just sideline her, just, pack her off to like a nice little palace in the country or something. But he went for her throat. So in 1324, Despenser is able to influence Edward to do what seems kind of unthinkable, honestly. He confiscates Isabella's estates, arrests her French staff, remember that entourage she had brought with her, and also strips her of her income. And they even took away her children and placed her children under the, quote, guardianship of the Despenser family. And
this seems bad. This is kind of textbook abuser behavior, right? So alienate them from their family and friends, and now she's alone. And this is and they take her kids. This is yes. This is how you get a she-wolf.
This is definitely how you get a she-wolf. So, yeah, Isabella, she's no longer just an ignored, inconvenient wife. She is a political prisoner in her own palace, and she's being taunted by the very men who are bankrupting her people. And she realizes that, this husband of hers isn't just a loser. He's actually a danger to her son, herself, and the dynasty.
And the country and everything. And she's, the daughter of the Iron King sounds like the kind of person who's not just going to sit there and take that.
Oh, no, not at all. So, at one point, a border dispute breaks out in France, and Isabella takes the initiative. She plays the diplomat role that we've seen her do earlier, and she's the dutiful queen, right? So she convinces Edward that only she, because she's the big sister of the French king, Philip, her father's now dead, and Isabella's little brother, Charles IV, is now on the throne, or Charles IV. So Isabella convinces Edward that she's in a unique position to successfully negotiate a peace treaty and save him from a war he didn't want and he couldn't afford. So Edward, he's like, okay, he's got a lot on his mind. He's kind of distracted by his own greed, and he's pretty meh about Isabella. He buys her logic and he lets her go to go be a diplomat.
Okay, so we've got Isabella, who's just been horribly wronged by the Dispenser family, and and her husband has allowed this to happen. They've taken all of her land, they've taken her titles, they've arrested all of her assistants, her handmaidens, they've deported people back to France that she cared about, and then they've taken her son away from her and given her to the hands of the mafia. So when another dispute breaks out, it's that same Gascony thing that's going to keep coming back up again. She's like, like you said, her father passed away. She had three or four brothers. All of them have passed away except for the youngest. Charles IV is now the king, and she's big sister. And she's like, I'll go talk to my brother. Don't worry about it. We'll figure this out. I mean, no problem at all. I'll be right back. I'm just going to go to the store for some milk, and I'll be right back. All right? Don't wait up. So she crosses the English Channel, and, as you can imagine, she has no intention of ever coming back as a submissive queen again. She arrives in Paris. That Trojan horse strategy is not going to work. She is going to just decide to bring the Iron King's justice to England. I think this is probably a good time for us to take a break, because when we come back, she's going to go from Isabella the Fair to Isabella the She-Wolf, and she's going to form her wolf pack, and heads are going to roll. So we're going to take a really quick break. Before we do that, Pat, Andrew has been getting on me that we need to do more calls to action and engagement types of things on the show. So,
okay.
So what's your most badass breakup story? Leave it in the comments, audience. We'll have to start coming up with stuff like that now. We'll be right back.
Ah.
All right, welcome back to Badass of the Week. It is 1325, and Isabella the Fair has returned to Paris. Now, Edward II is expecting her to be a dutiful diplomat and negotiate a peace treaty between England, or negotiate some sort of peace or border dispute resolution between this argument over Gascony. And instead, she goes into the court of Charles IV, her little brother, and says, I am a political refugee. I refuse to return to England. She says, quote, I feel that marriage is a joining together of a man and a woman, and someone has come between my husband and myself and tried to break this bond. Talking about Dispenser taking over her kid and stealing all of her stuff and running England as though he was the king. Now, Charles IV is more than happy to have Big Sister back, and you just take all the time you need, sis. You can hang out here.
Yes. And she's not sitting around and doing embroidery. She is building a war council. This is where the story gets its power couple energy. We were waiting for a power couple. Now we're going to get it.
She was expecting a power couple her whole life. She was
yes.
From her earliest, from when she was 9, she thought she was going to be married into a power couple. Didn't work out.
Yes. It didn't work out. It didn't work out that way. But enter Roger Mortimer. He is a powerful Marcher Lord, which is a high-ranking noble from the Welsh borders. He had been part of an armed rebellion against the Dispensers. He had been captured and thrown into the Tower of London. But then, and we said power couple, this honestly could be an action movie. He drugs his guards, climbs down the kitchen chimney, rows across the Thames, rides a horse to the coast, and escapes to France.
Yes, Roger Mortimer. He smuggled drugs into his cell in the Tower of London and escaped it. Not many people have escaped the Tower of London. He shimmied down a chimney. And he is that's Mortimer. He is everything that Edward II is not. He's charismatic. He's strong. He's a brilliant strategist. He's climbing, he's capable of rowing and riding and sailing. And he was a warrior who had personally fought on the field against both William Wallace and Robert the Bruce. He was kind of an old school Longshanks kind of guy. And when the Dispensers started attacking his family and friends, he rose up in a rebellion against them. That's when he was arrested and sent to the Tower of London. The Tower of London could not hold Roger Mortimer. He escaped. You can go there today and see the chimney that he climbed down. It's still there.
Yes.
There's a plaque for him. So when Isabella arrives in Paris, he's already there. So there are a lot of like exiled English enemies of or English-born enemies of the king who are there, and they start kind of talking to Isabella when she shows up. And they don't just become political allies, they become lovers, and very openly so. So, yes.
Scandalous.
Yes, this is a big scandal.
I mean, for the 14th century.
Yes, it's a big scandal. But yeah, I mean, it's a big deal, right? It's the Queen of England.
Yeah, yeah.
And she's openly living with a guy who was arrested for being a traitor to the king, her current husband. So, this is Game of Thrones, man. This sounds like a romance novel.
Yes.
So, okay, Edward II gets word of this, like, guess what, dude? She's not coming back. She's not negotiating. There's no peace with France. Actually, she hates you. She's sleeping with this other guy and living with him, and everybody knows it. And Edward is like, I think I might have made a tactical error in allowing Isabella out of house arrest to go back to her family in France, a country that hates us and has more people and knights than us.
Or maybe he should have just not listened to Hugh Despenser in the first place. But oh well, that ship has sailed.
That ship has sailed. Okay.
Okay.
He is desperate. Not necessarily probably to get her back, but to end the scandal, right? This is making him look bad, and he can't have that. So, okay. He is like, what can we do? So Isabella, she's a negotiator, right? We've seen this time and time again from her. She says, okay, look, don't worry about it. If you come to Paris and pay homage to the King of France in exchange for Gascony, do the thing. You know, maybe you don't have to kneel, but you have to give him some money, and you have to like say, "Oh, I acknowledge you as the king of this place where I'm the duke." It'll be fine. We're not going to have a war. It'll be okay. Now, Edward II, he's not a strong king, but he's also not a complete idiot. He's like, no, I'm definitely not coming to Paris. I'll be killed, or it's definitely a trap. It smells like a trap. And
it does smell like a trap, yes.
Yes, I will be killed. I will be humiliated in front of my own people and my own nobles and lords. And while I'm out of town, everybody hates the Despensers so much, they'll probably raise a revolution and kill the Despensers. And then when I come back, I'll have no kingdom anymore. I'm not doing that. Isabella's like, okay, that makes sense. You know what you could do, though? You could send your son, send the prince. Prince Edward, he's 12 years old. You just send him here. He could do it in your stead, and everything will be fine.
What could possibly go wrong?
What could possibly go wrong? She's run away from you, is currently raising an army against you, and all she wants is her son back, who happens to be the future King of England. And Edward II, I don't know, maybe she was just an awesome diplomat. This sounds like the kind of situation where, like, you know, if you propose this to the dungeon master, they'd say no way, but then you roll like a 37 on your charisma and they're like, I guess I gotta let you do it now. Because he lets Edward go. So Edward III, Prince Edward, goes to Paris to his mom, and now she's holding the future King of England. The physical body, a person of the future King of England, who is her son, who loves her. Right.
So how does she play this then?
She's no longer this rebel wife. She's no longer the whatever mean things you could say about her in England. She flips it. She is now the protector of the prince. She frames her refusal to return to England as a mission to save young Prince Edward from the evil Despensers. She breaks off all communication with Edward II. She moves her entire operation to Hainaut, which is part of like the current Belgium, Netherlands area, like the Low Country. She moves her forces there. And then she pulls a move that would have made her dad proud. She makes an alliance with the lords of Hainaut. And hey, what will you give me? It's like a baseball trade, right? What will you give me if I agree to marry the future King of England to one of your daughters? So the answer is a lot. The answer is
This is
people
Isabella. I would expect nothing less. She plays hardball.
She is able to negotiate quite a trade here. Edward III, Prince Edward III, is betrothed to Princess Philippa. How would you say it's Philippa or Philippa?
Philippa? Maybe?
Philippa?
I don't know.
Of Hainaut, in exchange for just a whole bunch of money and ships and mercenary soldiers and all kinds of weapons and armor and, and gear.
Oh.
So she's no longer, I mean, what was the term we used before? Like a decorative annoyance. She is a military commander. She has Roger Mortimer, who is a military genius, famous knight, beloved by his people, warrior, escaped the Tower of London with his bare hands. She's got the prince, who is the future king of England. She has the entire like Belgian army and Dutch army and navy at her. And not to mention that everybody in England hates the dispensers. So
yes.
Yeah, she's ready to go.
This sounds like an opportunity for her, yeah. And before she actually invades, she plays a public relations game. She dresses in widow's weeds. She claims her marriage had been killed by those awful dispensers. She sends letters to the major cities of England, especially London, that frame what some people might call an invasion, not as a grab for power, but as a mission to rescue the king, Edward II, and the people from evil counselors. Oh my goodness, it's all about protecting everyone from the dispensers.
I love that. I'm going to protect the king. I need the king. It's like, oh, it's just Wormtongue. Like if we killed Wormtongue, everything will be fine, right? We've just got to get that guy. We're going to go rescue the king. I've got his son. I've got everybody. We've got Mortimer. He's their buddies. We're all going to go. We're going to rescue England.
Yes. And the commoners ate this up because they did not like the dispensers, because the dispensers' legal scams and everything else were just eating up every penny that the commoners had. So that's the situation she's setting up.
Yes. And I do love this, that she dresses in widow's weeds for, to get sympathy. I'm this poor widow because my marriage has been killed by these horrible people who have corrupted my husband. When she needs that. And in on other cases, when the invasion fleet lands, she's wearing armor. She wears chainmail and plate. And she gets off. She leads as she appears as an Amazon to the knights and the mercenaries when they get off the boat. We're here to attack. Okay. So they land at Orwell in September 1326. And this is, you said maybe it's invasion. This is definitely kicking the door off the hinges. Kind of entrance. Yeah. She's dressing in armor. She rides at the head of the column. As she marches, she's met by not just knights with their own personal retaining forces, but also local militias. Now, both the nobility and the militias are meant to stop her. They show up with their gear and their weapons and their flags, and when they stop in front of her, they just join her. It's like Napoleon coming back from exile. They stop and they're like, well, we hate these guys. Let's go. We're with you. So as she's marching, her army is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. She's not fighting a lot of battles. She's just getting a bigger force. There's some battles, and Mortimer is a good commander, and he wins these battles. Anyway, they arrive at London, and the people of London, when they hear that her army is outside, they do a lot of the work for her. The commoners in London raise up, and they have a huge riot. They hunt down anyone associated with the king's regime and just execute them. They find the king's treasurer, this guy Walter de Stapleton. They cut his head off with a bread knife.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's low.
Yeah. Brutal, right? And they send it to Isabella as a welcome home gift.
Okay.
They deliver the head. And she's like, okay, this is a little gruesome, but I like where you're at.
Yeah. Yeah. So Edward II, he and his regime have no hope. His regime just collapses like a house of cards in a hurricane. He and the dispensers flee for Wales. They hope to raise an army, but Isabella has just had so much momentum that it's just this force of nature. She seizes the Tower of London, she takes control of the government, and she hunts her husband down.
Gotta save him. It's for your own good. for your own good, honey. By November, she's got him. She lands in September, and by November, the war is over. The full invasion of England. And this is like very quick for the 1300s. Armies did not, this is not like modern wars. The armies did not move very fast. She captures everybody. She is not particularly forgiving. She had been humiliated for years, and the dispensers particularly were very cruel to her, and she was ready to show them what Iron King DNA looked like.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
I'm about to get into the details of an extremely gruesome execution. I don't know if people have trouble with that, but I should warn you ahead of time. This is one of the more gruesome executions in history. Hugh Despenser the Younger is given a trial that is essentially a theatrical performance of his own sins. So she dresses him in a jacket or surcoat that's painted with his crimes listed all along them. Kind of like a picture like a NASCAR racing uniform with all the patches for the sponsors. It's that, but it's just all the different crimes he's committed.
Okay, yeah.
He's crowned with nettles, which sounds like it would hurt so bad. Nettles. And he's led through the streets to the sounds of trumpets. The whole city comes out to throw stuff at him and boo him and jeer. He's taken to the town square. He's tied to a ladder, tied up near the top of a ladder. His genitals are cut off and set on fire in front of him. He's disemboweled while still alive, as much as you can disembowel a person while they're still alive.
Oh, yuck.
He's hanged, but not like Old West hanging where they just drop you and it breaks your neck. He's like choked like a little bit. He still lives.
So this is calculated to drag it out.
This is a drag it out. This is like one of those you'd never want to go back in time kind of deals where this is just like, and the whole town's out there watching this, right? Including Isabella, who is sitting at a table on a stage with Roger Mortimer enjoying a light banquet while she watches this happen. Yeah.
Okay. So this is, she's basically popped some popcorn so she can watch the show.
Yeah. Popcorn,
That's
champagne.
cold. That is stone cold.
That's stone cold. This is how you get nicknamed like the She-Wolf of France. And then after he finally does choke to death, they cut off his head, his arms, and his legs. They mail his arms and legs to various towns in England that had supported the dispensers, and his head is put on a pike on London Bridge.
Oh, head on a pike. Bingo. Hey.
B-14, heads on pikes. Okay, that's the end of Hugh Despenser. He does not come back from this. He is
no one
this
would.
is Isabella.
Yeah.
She doesn't just kill her enemies, she turns them into cross-country art exhibits. Yeah. It's called being hanged, drawn, and quartered. That's the name there's a name for this thing that is being done. So that's what it's called.
Yeah.
She gets the elder Despenser too. She gets Hugh Despenser Sr. She hangs, draws, and quarters him as well, although they did wait for him to be dead before they started disemboweling him. So that seems like a mercy. They don't mail his body around England either. They just feed it to dogs. So
that sounds like a mercy to the post office.
Yeah, right. What's in the box?
Cookies, care package. Yeah. So she's dispensed with the dispensers.
The dispensers are dispensed.
Okay.
With.
And that solves a lot of her problems, but there's still the problem of what do you do with a living king?
Right. Because he's got Edward
II is still in the picture. Like he's still somewhere.
She's caught him. She's got him. She's holding him. And she was supposed to be rescuing him from the dispensers, which she's done now. That's a mission accomplished.
Yeah. So, okay, like if he were just a highly placed noble, you can kill him in any of a number of creative ways. But he is the king. And if you kill him, that is regicide. And, it's actually a religious affront. And it also makes the neighbors nervous. So Isabella and Mortimer come up with a new thing. They unlock a new skill. They force Edward II to abdicate in favor of his son, Edward III. And this is the first time in English history that a king is legally removed from power because he was just too much of a hot mess to hold it.
Yes. So he is forced to abdicate, or he abdicates of his own volition, and Edward III is crowned King of England. Edward III is still 12 years old. Isabella and Mortimer hold the power now. Okay. Edward II, there's still this question of what to do with him. He's abdicated. He's put under house arrest in Berkeley Castle. So he's in a castle. He's fine. He's hanging out there.
Can he just dig ditches?
Yeah, he can dig ditches. You can garden. You can have parties. You can still have champagne. It's fine. Sorry, he died. I don't know what happened. He's dead now, though. That's natural causes, probably.
Sure, that covers a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just dudes in their mid-30s just drop dead of natural causes.
What? I mean, it's the 14th century. Maybe I
guess that did happen a lot more.
There were a lot more
still,
natural causes floating around. Yeah, but okay, surely people had like conspiracy theories or something. Also,
there is a conspiracy theory. There's a popular conspiracy theory that he was murdered by being stabbed in the ass with a red hot poker, because that would leave no marks on his body. Because if he was killed in that way, it would leave no visible marks on his body. So it would look like he died of natural causes.
Oh.
Why that specific thing?
Okay.
I don't know, but that is the story that was going around at the time, and Isabella did nothing to dissuade it. The message is clear. The king is dead. Long live the king, or long live the queen.
Long live the queen, yeah. Yes. Well, okay. Okay, yes, we have a king, but, he's still kind of young, right?
Mm-hmm. Right, he's 12. And so for the next, maybe he might be a little older by this point. The war was quick. So, okay. So for the next 4 years, Isabella and Mortimer are ruling England as that power couple we were talking about. She's the most powerful woman in Europe. She's dictating terms to Scotland and France. She's telling her little brother what to do. She's telling the Scots what to do. She's living in luxury.
Finally.
Yes, finally. She gets like all this. She frees all of her like maidservants and all of the people that were arrested by the dispensers. They're free now. But, this is where, if the movie version of this, they live happily ever after, but real life doesn't always work that way.
Oh, no.
No. Roger Mortimer gets a little power hungry. And
no.
Yeah, I know. We liked this guy. I picture him
Morty.
I picture him being very handsome in the movie version, but the story takes a little bit of a weird turn here. He starts ruling with a heavy hand as well. He takes on some bunch of titles for himself. He gives himself massive estates. He surrounds himself with a massive private army, and he starts doing this thing where when he walks into the room, he makes Edward III stand up to him. So usually when the king enters a room, everybody has to stand up. Oh, long live the king or whatever. But when Mortimer enters the room, he makes Edward III stand up. Just doesn't seem like a big deal, but it's a big deal.
Oh, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. I mean, earlier in the episode, we were talking about how, a lot of beef, people had a lot of beef because, someone wouldn't go and bow to another person.
Right. I feel like
gascony thing, yeah.
Right, exactly. And I think this a lot when I have this running joke with my wife when we watch any kind of especially like romantic comedies. There's so many movies can be solved by just with a phone call. Just call them and just tell them the truth, right? Just kiss the girl or say, I'm sorry, just do some very basic, easy thing that you can do. Just do it. And all of this would be solved. But yeah, people just can't get over it. Mortimer had to have Edward III stand up to him. And he's doing this in court with a bunch of people watching. It's embarrassing to the king. It's making him look bad. And Edward III is in the Longshanks mold, right? He's the grandson of Edward Longshanks and Philip the Fair, the Iron King of France. This is not lost on him that he might be 14, but he gets it, man. He understands what you're trying to do here and he doesn't like it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, teenagers are very sensitive to social disses.
Yes, he gets it. Yep. He understands it and doesn't like it. He just can't do anything about it yet.
Yes.
Couple other things happen here that make Edward III angry. Roger Mortimer has Edmund of Woodstock executed for planning a rebellion. Now, Edmund of Woodstock is Edward Longshanks' brother. So he's
Edward
He's an older
III's
guy. Yeah, we haven't talked about
uncle.
Edmund of Woodstock, but he's like he kind of sees what's going on here. He's Longshanks's brother. He is Edward III's like great uncle. And he's like, I see what you're trying to do here. You're gonna Edward III's gonna have an accident also, and you guys are gonna be king and queen or whatever. I don't know what your plan is, but it's bad and I don't like it. And so Mortimer declares Edmund of Woodstock as planning a rebellion, has him executed, which is real gutsy because that guy is literally royalty.
Yes, yeah.
And then they did another thing that made Edward III mad. They signed Isabella went to Scotland, or Isabella had the Scots come to her, and she negotiated a peace treaty that recognized.
That sounds like a good thing. Or wait, what was the peace treaty? What are the terms?
They recognized Scottish independence, and they it's kind of set the line where the line was. Right there hasn't been any more campaigning into Scotland. They're like, we'll just call it. We'll call it here. Let's stop fighting.
Peace treaty sounds like a good thing, but.
You think, right? It sounds like, she made peace. She's a good negotiator. This is another badass thing about Isabella. But Edward III was like, what do you mean we're going to stop fighting Scotland? My grandpa was the hammer of the Scots, man. We can't stop fighting Scotland, but this is a thing. This is what we do. We hate each other. We're going to fight each other. And then the people of England also hated this treaty. It sounded like they were, we should make the Scots do what we want. We shouldn't just declare peace with them. We should subjugate them like we always do. So, okay, that's a weird one, but the people of England and Edward III did not want to end the war with Scotland. They wanted to have war forever, and the peace treaty was viewed as weakness. This is medieval Europe for you.
Yeah. Well, when you explain it that way, I see where they're coming from.
Sure. Now, Edward III is about, he's sitting here and he's stewing and he's watching all this. He can't do much about it until he's like, about a week from becoming 18 years old, he decides he's sick of this. He's tired of living under his mother's shadow. He's tired of living under Mortimer's thumb. And in 1330, Edward III, the young prince, stages a coup of his own. Now, Mortimer's got these guards with him, and he can't get around those guys. He doesn't have enough support yet. So he comes up with a plan. On the night of October 19th, 1330, Edward gets a small group of loyal knights together, and they use a secret underground tunnel to infiltrate Nottingham Castle. They burst into Queen Isabella's bedchambers in the middle of the night, and Isabella's there with Roger Mortimer. They're in bed together. Isabella jumps up, a bunch of armed men in armor and weapons come in, they grab Mortimer, and Isabella cries out, "Fair son, have pity on the gentle Mortimer." Edward does not have pity. He has Mortimer carried away, charged with usurping royal power, and hanged like a criminal. Now, he doesn't do the whole hang, drawn, and quartered thing because that would just make his mom mad and make his mom sad, and he didn't want to make his mom sad. He doesn't want to he still loves his mom. He just doesn't. He's just I'm the king. I'm 18. I got to be the king, and if you're not gonna let me be the king, I'm gonna take it because I'm the king.
Mortimer just gets hanged in the ordinary sort of way.
Just a regular, considering that this is 14th century Europe, that's pretty tame. No heads on pikes, nothing like that.
Yeah. And as you said, Ben, apparently he loves his mother, even though they had their differences, and he can't bring himself to execute his mother. That would have been a very simple way to solve certain problems, but instead he just nudges her, cough, cough, forces her into a very comfortable retirement. And so she finds herself in her final decades as the Dowager Queen. She lives in a huge castle. She gets a very generous allowance, a massive library. That was the, internet browser with 22 tabs open at the same time of the day, And she was kind of, pushed out. But one hopes she has the quiet satisfaction of knowing that she had survived a toxic marriage, outmaneuvered two kings, staged the first successful invasion of England since 1066, dismantled a corrupt regime, secured the throne for her son, and also, along the way, proved that if you treat a French princess like a decorative nuisance, she will eventually burn your world down just so she can have something to toast her s'mores on.
Yes. And that is how Isabella the Fair becomes Isabella the She-Wolf of France. She sets fire to England, literally, puts her son on the throne, and her an enduring legacy of Isabella of France is kind of interesting because remember I said she had several brothers. So the Iron King, Philip the Fair, he dies and he's got, I wish I could remember, I think it's 3 or 4 sons and Isabella. Now the sons all kind of have died off in order. Charles IV is the youngest, Isabella's big sister. And Charles IV dies before Isabella does. Now, none of those sons produced an heir, produced any children. So when Charles IV dies, suddenly there's this little bit of a succession crisis in France. Who should be the king? We're going to pass it down, but like now we've got to go into we've got to start looking at cousins and all this other stuff. Now, Edward III, Isabella's still alive when this is happening. Edward III sends a letter to the king to France, to the French nobles, and he's like, guess what, man? Like, it passes through Isabella if it doesn't go through the sons, that none of the sons had a kid. I'm Isabella's son. I'm the king of France and England now.
Ooh.
And,
how does that go over?
He's the last surviving grandson of Philip the Fair. He's the only grandson of Philip the Fair. So I'm king of France now. Sorry. The French say, they immediately amend their rule because they have it's not a constitution, but they have like a list of rules on how they determine this sort of thing. They rewrite it to write no girls allowed. They just basically write no girls are allowed on top of the thing. And they're like, no, can't pass through a girl. So it's this guy instead, it's this French guy instead, because you can't be the king of France. That's crazy. Edward III does a very funny thing that I always think about when you see this. You always see the flags of the English kings and and you see the coat of arms of various royals of France or of England. You see it has it's in quarters, and 2 of the quarters are red with golden lions on them, 3 golden lions, and 2 other corners are blue with the fleur-de-lis on it. Have you seen this?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So Edward's flag at the time was red with 3 golden lions on it. And then they're like, no, you're not king of France. He's like, I am. And then he put the French fleur-de-lis, put the French flag on his crown. And he was like, nah, look, it's on my flag now. Like, I'm the king of England and France.
He just Sharpied it in.
So whenever you see that, that's it. Like, he drew up a new flag incorporating the fleur-de-lis onto his stuff because he's like, I'm the king of England and France. And that is how the 100 Years' War starts. So when Isabella goes down, she literally lights all of Europe on fire.
Yeah. Yeah.
The map of Europe becomes a blast zone for 4 generations because because of her. So Isabella, she dies of natural causes on August 22nd, 1358 at the age of 63. She requested to be buried. This is kind of interesting epilogue here. She requested to be buried in her wedding veil, the same one she wore when she married Edward II 50 years earlier. And the casket, when she's buried, she asks that the casket contains the heart of her murdered husband to be placed on her breast and buried with her. Now, interesting choice, right? There's been a lot of discussion by people over the years that perhaps the veil was when she married Mortimer, a secret marriage with Mortimer, a secret relationship with Mortimer, and the heart was actually Mortimer's. So, the official story is that it was Edward II's wedding veil and Edward II's heart, although people have said maybe it was Mortimer. It's difficult to know because while she was under house arrest, basically, I mean, it's very loosely used, the term house arrest, but there was a lot of work that was done to kind of rehab her reputation because the whole, I ran off and took a lover and whatever, that didn't make Edward III look great. So Edward III was like, no, my dad was a powerful king too, and my mom loved him, and everything was fine, right? nothing weird.
So we're maybe not retconning, but kind of airbrushing the past or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, Yeah, she dies 1358. She lived long enough to watch her son win the Battle of Crécy, which was like a humongous victory for the English against the French knights. That was the whole one with they shot the longbows and, destroyed the French knights. She was alive for that. And her son, Edward III, is like a big war hero from the 100 Years' War, but she got to see, that all go down. Okay. And then that's the end of Isabella of France. Pat, I guess we should ask, what's the lesson here?
Oh, what's the lesson?
What's the badass message that we can take away from the story of Isabella of France, who became Isabella the Fair, who became Isabella the She-Wolf of France?
Let's see.
People have gone back and forth on her legacy over the past, right? When Shakespeare calls her She-Wolf, it's not meant to be a compliment. It's not meant to be she was so badass. It's meant to be just mean-spirited, right? But nowadays, we view her through a different lens than Shakespeare viewed her through, which is a different lens than I'm sure she viewed herself and the people at the time. Like the regular people of England loved her. They supported her in her rebellion. So she's a complicated character because people's opinions over her have changed dramatically over the years.
So, what are the takeaways? Well, one takeaway is don't assume princesses are just decorative nuisances.
Yes. What was the one from the listen to your engineers? Like, listen to the people who know what they're talking about. Like, she was a very competent negotiator. She definitely made a lot of people do things that they wouldn't normally have done. That seems like a powerful person to have on your side.
What about you, Ben? Any takeaways you think of?
Man. Yeah, I don't know. It's that, right? Don't piss off Isabella of France. Jesus Christ. When her dad's named the Iron King, just be nice to her. Let her down easy. You don't have to be weird and like steal her kids and stuff.
Yeah. Or I guess maybe also another lesson is even if you're in an arranged marriage, take the relationship seriously and talk things out.
Right. Just talk to her. Just sell with a phone call. And not to mention that this was I guess this isn't really useful to people in, 2026 when we're recording this, but, the marriage was a political alliance designed to do diplomatic things. And you really can't set that on fire because you actually want to do those diplomatic things are important. That's why they had arranged marriages at the time.
Yes.
You were uniting two houses that hated each other. And then you threw that away and that's how you get the 100 Years' War.
Yes.
So
these are pretty useful lessons.
These are all great lessons. Yeah. If you ever go back in time, don't get hanged, drawn, and quartered, and and then take your arranged marriages seriously.
Yes.
All right, Pat. I think that's all we can do.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on and talking to me about this. I think this was a good one. I feel happy with this episode.
This is fun. Yes.
Well, it probably wasn't fun for Hugh Dispenser, but it was fun for everybody else, I hope.
Yeah. It was fun for him up to a point, I think.
Yeah, he had a good time for a while. He had a good run.
Yeah.
If you guys enjoyed this, you can definitely leave us a like or a comment or just give us a review. Having good reviews helps us out so much. So if you've been listening to the show and you like it, please just do that because it takes 2 seconds and it really helps people find our show. And we would like for people to find our show. So we do this every week. We will come back next week and have another crazy story from history, I hope.
Stay badass.
Badass of the Week is produced by High Five Content and $7 Productions. Executive producers are Dwayne Johnson, Danny Garcia, Andrew Jacobs, Hiram Garcia, Brian Gewirtz, Frankie Chaparino, and of course, me, Ben Thompson. Writing is by me and my semi-regular but always awesome co-host, Dr. Patricia Larish. Story editing by Ian Jacobs. Our mixing, music, and sound design is done by the incomparable Jude Brewer. Production support by Jean McGale-Waite. Badass of the Week is based on my website, badassoftheweek.com, where you can read all sorts of stories about other badasses. If you want to reach out with questions or ideas, you can email us at badasspodcast@badassoftheweek.com. If you like this podcast, please subscribe, follow, listen, tell your friends, and tell your enemies. And please leave us a review. If you want to support Badass of the Week, please check out our Patreon page. We'll be back next week with another one.